So this topic is going to be a little bit difficult for me to discuss, so I want to put a few caveats in the beginning so people know who I'm talking about. When I say I hate the hardcore gamers, I'm really talking about the hardcore toxic fans, and most of the hardcore gamers that make this hobby their entire personality and life fall into the, toxic category, but they are a lot of you hardcore gamers. So obviously if you're a casual gamer, if you're someone who plays video games for fun of any age, I'm not speaking about you. If you're someone who really loves this hobby and, delves deep into it, and you're, a good, genuine dude or girl, I'm not speaking about you. I'm speaking about the toxic people that seem to be overtaking this hobby right now. And the biggest thing for me is whenever I upload a video about video games, I usually don't upload about video games. I just speak about general life stuff, but I sometimes upload videos about Halo, and every once in a while, like this past video I made where I discussed, the rising costs of the hobby, and, I mainly discussed Xbox because they raised the price of the Xbox consoles again, despite being in last place in sales, which made no sense to me. And it seems that, if I'm making a video about it, which is very rare, or if I watch a video about video games and I go to the comments section, it is just flooded with these just degenerate people that just drag the hobby down. And obviously if you are just voicing disapproval over something you disagree with, that's completely fine, but these people take things way too far. And one of my biggest problems, there's a few little things, a few topics to delve into, is the fact that these people seem to always be mad or offended by something with video games. It's very odd. I don't understand why. I understand people take their hobbies very serious. I take sports very seriously. I'm a big sports fan and all that stuff. But at a certain extent, this hobby is meant to be fun. It's meant to, a way to, pass the time, relax, hang out with friends and engage in that way. It's supposed to be fun. And people seem to always be pissed off about something. And whether it's a product, a game, this game's woke or not woke, whatever the heck it is, politics in games, they're always mad about something. And I've noticed this in my video. I did not disparage any console company or gaming company. I was just saying that, things are getting a little expensive. And I had an Xbox defender that thought I was just dumping on Xbox, oh my gosh. And I had a PlayStation defender saying, how could you be saying that, PlayStation's putting old games on Xbox when you're playing Halo 2 and all this stuff, and just going absolutely berserk in the comments. And I just laughed when I got these. I'm like, I'm not even saying anything bad about these companies. I said in the video, while I think these prices are crazy, if you look at the Xbox Series X Galaxy Edition for $800 and say it's worth the money, you do you. Because I don't give a shit what you buy with your money. I am never a person who pocket watches. I always say a product is out there for somebody. And if you, even though I think the price is expensive, if you don't, it's all good. Who cares? If I don't like a product and you love it, that's great. All power to you. I love that you enjoy it. It doesn't matter to me. And I found this with I mentioned I bought a Nintendo Switch 2. And this is apparently just the biggest controversy in the world if you have purchased a Switch 2. And I had a person that was going on there defending the Steam Deck and just dumping on the Switch 2. And in my video, I mentioned, because I mentioned the Xbox handheld, I said what a great product the Steam Deck is, and people are going to buy it. But this person decided to take it upon himself to list all these reasons why I should buy, why people should buy a Steam Deck instead of a Nintendo Switch 2, and, why it's ridiculous that I bought one. And he's listing off all of these issues he has with the Switch 2, which is another one of my things I'm going to discuss, is they push their problems with a product onto you. And he talked about game key cards, the lack of power of the Switch 2, and $80 games, and all this stuff. So I actually, I try to, with some negative comments, I try to engage with as many comments as I can. I, went back and forth with the guy, and I was like, yeah, the Steam Deck's a great system. A great handheld. Me, I don't really play video games on the go. I don't really care about that. So my Nintendo Switch basically just stays docked. I don't really play games on the go like that. It's just not my style. So I have a very powerful PC, and that's where I play 90% of my games. I basically only play Nintendo first-party games on the Switch too. And I buy all of my games digital. So all of these problems this guy is naming does not affect me at all. And I got Mario Kart World for $50, so I got the bundle, not $80. And I agree, $80 for a game is, a little expensive. But this guy is just bewildered that, I didn't care about it. And I told him, that sounds like you have a good reason to not buy a Switch 2, so that's great to not buy it. But just because I didn't give a shit about the same thing he did, this guy's losing his mind and can't possibly fathom that someone else would have a differing opinion than him. And that is what basically video game fandom has become now at this point with these hardcore gamers, where it's you have to be in a hive mind of thought on everything. And if you step out of bounds even a toe, you're just going to get ridiculed and just spammed to death about how could you possibly not care about the health of the industry and buying a Switch 2. I don't care about the health of the industry. This is a hobby. I have so much on my plate. I'm a 34-year-old man with a career who's going to college for his third degree. I barely have time to play games as it is. I just play games on PC, and I enjoy Nintendo first-party games, so I buy a Switch 2. That's basically it. But the fact that people cannot fathom that, and it doesn't fit into their, bubble of what gaming should be, they get offended and just start freaking out, which is hilarious to me. And for me, I obviously know that this is most likely the vocal minority, because I would imagine most people that engage with video games don't go on comment sections, don't make videos, and all that stuff. But it's becoming more and more of a trend that I'm seeing. And obviously, even on my gaming-related videos that I make, how, one maybe every 4 months I'll make a gaming-related video. So I don't really deal with it that much. Like I said, I just make content about general life stuff. But I'm noticing, 90% of the comments are amazing. And the people that watch my videos and comment are all pretty awesome. But it's becoming a trend that, just negativity about video games seems to be the thing that gets the clicks. And this hive mind mentality and just not being able to comprehend that someone doesn't think like you. You have the console fanboys that I honestly, when I was a kid, I understood the console fanboy mentality, like, oh, you got, a Nintendo 64 and not a PS1, or, the Sega Genesis versus the Nintendo or Super Nintendo, stuff like that, the 360 versus PS3. But I figured, we're all grown-ass adults now. I figured that kind of mentality and behavior would be over at this point, but there's still like 30, 40, and sometimes 50-year-old men that are console warring on YouTube. Like, I could not imagine being that ridiculous. I mean, first of all, the consoles are basically exactly the same, with a different OS. All of the games, whether it's day one or a year or two down the line, all go to all the consoles. It seems like PlayStation's putting their games on Xbox, Xbox is putting their games on PlayStation, like Gears of War just came out on PlayStation. I think the only last holder of, exclusivity is Nintendo at this point. Which is why a big reason why I just play on PC now, because one, I just love Steam and love PC gaming and tinkering with the settings, but I get all the Xbox games and PlayStation games. So why would I buy an Xbox or a PlayStation? And if Nintendo, to their credit, if they put their games on PC, I wouldn't buy a Nintendo console anymore. I would just buy their games on computer, but they don't do that, so I'm going to buy a Nintendo console. But I don't know, it's just a worrying trend that I'm seeing, that just this toxic hardcore gamer group is just overtaking the hobby and just making it look pathetic. Because when I see these comments and I see these people push their problems onto you, and if you don't agree with them, they just lose their minds and mauled. They're always offended by something, always mad, always upset. The console fanboyism, all that stuff. It's just honestly sad. Pocket watching and telling you how you should spend your money. It's all sad. It's very rare to see someone just make positive gaming content. It's very rare now where you just see a hardcore gamer, quote unquote, that's happy. It seems to be all negative, and that's just no way to enjoy this hobby. Like for me, I don't really take gaming super serious anymore. I wouldn't say I'm a casual video game player. Like, I keep up to date with release dates. I talk to my friends about games and things like that. I still play single player games and all that, but I'm not in the weeds with like the news and all that stuff anymore. Like, I just play games for fun now. I don't have to play games day one. I'll wait for a sale if I want. But overall, when I see this behavior that I discussed, it just makes me not want to engage with the hobby any more than just jumping on and playing. Like, it makes me not want to watch gaming content. It makes me not want to upload something talking about video games. And to be fair, like I said on my videos, 95% of the comments are all great people. But it seems when 100% of the comments, or 99% of my comments and all my other videos are great, it just seems like the video game related content drags these kind of people out of it. And it's just something I noticed, and I think it's a troubling trend with the hobby. And like I said, if you are someone who's just getting into the hobby and you're seeing how negative it is, I mean, I wouldn't want to get in it. Like, honestly, even though, it's mainly because I've gotten older and, have more responsibilities that I've kind of taken a step back from caring about video games like I did maybe like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. But when I see this behavior, it makes me want to be like, hey, I'm just going to play games and just not really engage beyond that. I'm just going to play the games I want to play, buy the things I want to buy, talk to my friends, and not engage at all outside of that. And that's really sad, because gaming is something that brings us together, at least it used to. And it's a hobby that I think is great for people of all ages to play. And hopefully the negativity and the toxic hardcore fan base can calm down and not seem like it's the majority when I know it's the vocal minority.